Husband man, get over that pretty woman. That's better.
It was so exciting for us to get together 20 years ago in San Diego to see all the old timers and what I call the old timers. Vince, Gironda, guys that maybe a lot of you never heard of. But it was just all of us milling around, and it was so exciting because we were older. We're from the days that didn't have steroids, and we loved bodybuilding for the sake of bodybuilding. It wasn't bodybuilding like it is these guys are so competitive with each other and hostile to each other, and they're like prima donnas. We were all like a fraternity. And we're guys from the 40s and the 50s, and we decided to get together, and I'm looking at all these guys that really were great bodybuilders in our time, and it was like a feeling of euphoria. It was just Marvin Eder, guys that maybe a lot of you never heard of, Artie Zeller, guys that really were the backbone of bodybuilding. And you know what's funny thing? I look at this and I say to myself, 20 years ago, how the time flies. And it's sort of kind of nostalgic because a lot of the greats that you're seeing there are not around today. And it's sad, but it's also uplifting. And I look at when I look at it now, it's like, I was like so excited to see the guys, because you know, a lot of us hadn't seen each other for years. And you get like guys like Larry Scott. He was much younger than I was. You know, I'm Leroy Colbert, first man built 21-inch arms. And I was around before Larry. And Larry's also considered an old timer, so you know what you're looking at here. And, you know, and that's Larry there in the middle there talking to all the other guys, and that's Vince Gironda, which he's the guru of bodybuilding. And Russ Warner, there's Russ Warner. I couldn't remember his name. He's one of the guys that put the whole reunion together. And it was just an exciting, and Gironda, he was like the guru. He thought he had all the answers. He reminds me of one of my friends. He had all the answers of bodybuilding. You walk up to Vince, and he said, "Remember me, Vince?" And he would say, "Should I remember you? And if you hadn't done anything in bodybuilding, then you better not ask Vince, do you remember me? Because Vince will make you embarrass you." But this was something that I'll never forget, and I'll always remember this day. And there's Vince on the left there. You know, always like to instruct and tell you what to do. The guy next to Vince on the left, I don't know who he is. Of course, everybody knows Larry Scott. Larry Scott was one of the greats of his day. And he had, Larry came along during the time when they began to use drugs pretty heavy. And so Larry got a little sick there, so he had to drop out of the game for a while. But now the guy that's taking the pictures, I can't exactly remember his name, but I think he's the publisher of Mind Man magazine. And Vince is the guy that I get the biggest kick out of. That's him in the middle there, because Vince thinks he's the catch me out. You know, everybody focus on Vince. You see, everything is focused on Vince here. And let me see, there's the Pioneer Mall. You just spotted this, Joe Weider. Joe Weider's one that glamorized bodybuilding and made bodybuilding what it is today. Without Joe Weider, it wouldn't be half. Joe Weider made all of these guys, because he made it, glamorized it. Before Joe Weider came along, people thought of bodybuilders as just stiff weightlifters, and he glamorized the beauty of bodybuilding. And it's just great to see him, and that's him right there in the middle of Vince. He's nothing but Vince. Vince is all over the damn place. And Kennedy, I think his name is, the photographer, the guy to the right of Joe. Not exactly sure his first name. And I think over there in the middle, that's one of, in the middle there, I think it's, now we're outside now on the veranda. and not the veranda, the backyard and of the hotel, the back of the hotel. And now we're back here with Kennedy, and that's Larry Scott with Kennedy with his hand around his wife. And when I look at Larry, Larry's so much younger than, and of course that's me, next talking to Joe, my mentor, you know, and and I've always been a windbag, and even 20 years ago I was still windy, you know. And that, you see what else, there's John Grimek, the great John Grimek, the greatest of our day, the greatest bodybuilder of our day, and he's not with us right now, you know. He's going to bodybuilding heaven, you know. But and at Kennedy, he was excited. He was the guy taking all the pictures, and he was like the guy that there's Grimek there. I mean, Grimek there is in his 80s and still training he trained heavy up to his death almost. I never could figure how John was able to lift so heavy